Good afternoon. Let's learn how to do MAD, which is mean absolute deviation, using our TI-83 Plus calculator. This is 8th grade math. This is actually September 2018. Alrighty, here we go. First question. Find mean absolute deviation, or MAD, from the following data. So I've listed several numbers. I've got 17, 24, 8, -3, 9, 7, 12, 10, and 10 and 4/10. So I'm going to use all those numbers. So my first question to you would be, how do you plan on doing that? As always, we want to do looking at labeling and looking at our formulas and then looking at how you're going to solve that. So off we go. I have my calculator with me. It's TI-83 Plus. So I'm going to utilize this calculator, and we're going to solve for mean absolute deviation using a calculator. As always with the video, if you get lost, stop it, rewind it, and watch it again. Alright, so first thing I want to do, I'm going to turn it on. Mine has a lot of stuff in it. I would suggest you clear your calculator. That's going to be second plus, let me get that on the screen, 712. Now if you go back and look at my screen, you'll see it'll say RAM cleared. I'm going to push enter and it'll say done. And that's exactly what I want it to do. Next, I need to put those numbers in list 1. So my question to you would be, how do you create list 1? Yes, that's correct. So you're going to push stat, and stat is right below delete. And we're going to push enter, and you're going to input all that data in list 1 only. I know there's a lot of data. We're only working in list 1. So stop the video and input your data. I've input my data, and so I'm going to show that to you. So you see my numbers. Now I can assure you, now if you notice I'm up at list 1, don't hit clear right now either. If you hit clear right now and push enter, you would delete the whole column. Don't do that. So I'm going to start looking at my data. Here's my 17, 24, 8, -3, 9, 7, 12. It'll keep going. There's your 10 and there's your 10.4. I would do yourself a favor and check your numbers a couple of times. Check that list, said Santa Claus, if you don't mind. It's a lot of trouble to do this, and it's a lot of trouble to do it twice. Alright, so right now I have my list in. So I'm going to write these steps to the side. And so again, you can stop this video anytime. So back to my notes. So I've got my data. Step 1 is going to be create a list in list 1. So how did you create a list? What were the steps again? Yes, I went to stat, edit, which is 1, and then I put in the numbers, put in data. You don't have to push enter, because when you push enter, it just goes to the next number. Alright, that's step 1. Step 2, I want to do one vars stat. So the question is, where's all that? Good question. Back to your calculator. So still on my list, I want you this time to go to stat, and let me see if I can get this both on the screen. That ain't too bad. So I'm in stat, you're going to go to calculate, and if you notice, it's the first entry, one var stat. So I'm going to push enter, because by default that's pushing 1. Now if you notice the cursor's at the end over here, you haven't pushed the enter button yet. That cursor needs to be over here for this to work. So you have to push the enter button. When you push the enter button, you're going to see a lot of stuff. So let's discuss what these mean. First of all, that means mean, as in M-E-A-N, as in mean, median, mode, range. Add all the numbers up, divide by how many you have. That right there means the sum of X. So if you look at your scores, that is the sum of all of your numbers you typed in. That's your sum squared. Keep going, don't need these. Now there's an arrow. I want you to push that arrow button and keep going. More stuff. Exactly. Now let me explain this one here. There are 9 numbers you typed in. So there's 9 data points. Not the number 9, 9 entries. This minimum X, that's your lowest score on that list, was -3. And this was your maximum score of your points in that list. This is your median. You know how you do least to greatest and go from the two ends and find the middle? That's your middle score. Quartile 1, that's your middle of the low end, and quartile 3 is the middle of the high end. And if you remember, all of this was box and whisker. Yep, that was 7th grade. Now, we've done step 2, so let's relook at our list. You said, number 1, create a list. We did. Number 2, one var stat. We do, and it's lots of data. Lots of data. They give you lots of data. Step 3. Now, you're going to do, it's a crazy story, I know, but it's going to be Sal minus your ex-mean teacher, close the door, divide by the number of Dr. Pepper she drank. I know. It's crazy. We're programming, and that's kind of like PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It's about the best way I ever know to remember it. All right, here we go. So I'm on my calculator, and I am on the home screen. This is just a bunch of stuff on the home screen. So we're going to start entering here. And again, if you get lost, stop the video. So I need to find, and I'm going to move that over so I can kind of see both. Perfect. So I need to find S for Sal. Now you're going to do second stat. I don't see anything that says an S. And I'm looking for sum, because isn't a mean add all the numbers divided by how many? So I need to be adding, and so I'm going to start with sum. So I'm going to push the 5. When you push the 5, it automatically enters that information, which is really nice. Next, I need the A. You're going to go to second 0, and you're going to get into catalog. If you notice when you did second 0, the little yellow word, catalog, that's how you get those words. And it's the first one, absolute. I'm sure it's somewhere else, but we'll take this one. It's pretty quick. So remember, mean absolute deviation. Mean means you add them all together, divide, and that's where sum is coming from. Absolute is absolutely, there it is. Now, I need an L. How about list 1? That's second 1. Subtract. I need the two variables for x and n. Now, the good news is they're both together. You just have to remember where you put them. So let's assume those are variables. They are. Let's push the vars button, which is right there beside clear. And I'm going to scoot that back down. So go ahead and push the vars button. We're going to push 5 for statistics, because we're doing statistics. Mean, median, mode, range, MAD, that's all statistics. Pushing 5, and if you notice, there's your X with the line on top, which is mean. So I'm going to push a 2. So now if you're looking at your info on your calculator, you got Sal, S-A-L, subtract. So you got Sal minus your ex-mean teacher, and I think I said close the door, divide by the number of Dr. Pepper she drank. I know, silly. So where was N? Yes, you're right. It was a variable, so it's under vars. Statistics, yep, and 1, you're right. So I'm going to recap. S-A-L minus X with a line on top, parenthesis, divide by N. You got Sal minus your ex-mean teacher, close the door, divide by the number of Dr. Peppers. That's a formula, and that's what you're doing, is programming. So when I push enter, and hope I don't see a word error, there it is. So your answer is going to be 4.785. And if you want to round that, you call it 4.79. Or if you want to round it harder, 4.8. The question is, what does that mean? So I'm going to go ahead and write that on my paper. So my MAD is 4.78. 785, which is 4.79 rounded. I have some notes here I'm going to share with you. The definition of MAD, it's the variability of a set of numbers. It describes how close. So if you scored a 0 on MAD, you're extremely close, as in they're all the same numbers close. Or how far apart. If you got a score of 25, 100, 16,000, your data points are extremely far apart. It's the average distance between each data value and its mean. Here's an example of a problem I did. The data's over there. You can see. Let me see if I can make this clear for you. Much better. So here's an example. Again, I'm just going to post you my notes, so in case when I was talking you didn't get a chance to write them down. And I'm going to keep going. Again, this is all the notes I gave you, but it's at least written for you. There's the answers to what those symbols mean, and that's kind of nice that I wrote them out for you. And I'm going to scoot over so you can see that part. Again, freeze the video if you need to. Here's your step 3 to find Sal minus your ex-mean teacher, close the door, divide by the number of Dr. Peppers. And so I've helped you find these buttons. And as I wrote them, that's what your calculator is going to say. So I kind of guided you step by step by step. So, and I'm going to scoot this up and keep it on the screen. And again, stop the video if you need to look at these screens. I'm going to keep moving. Let's see if I can get all that on there. going to keep going. There's var stat. I'm going to scoot over to get you all that. Now, at the very bottom, it says, if the mean is close to 0, your points or your data are close in size. If your MAD is extremely large, or just large, it is spread out really far, and your mean, your average, isn't a fair way to describe your data. So I've got an owner here, and he owns a business, and he's making $12 billion a year. So you've got a worker that's paid by the hour, and they're going to make $25,000 a year. And you got the assistant that's helping the owner, and they're making $50,000. So the question is, what is the average? Well, if you add all those three numbers up and divide by 3, you get that number. Well, let's see what that number is. That's one turtle mashed by, that's $4 billion each. I don't think they each make around $4 billion. In fact, only one person was in the billions. The other ones were barely getting by. But if you add them all up and divide by 3, that's what you get. That's mathematically correct, but that's not correct. Average means everybody gets about the same, that number. Nobody gets that number, except that guy, and he made a lot more than that even. So it is the average, but that's not the true answer. It doesn't work that way. So we'll see what I wrote. So why is the hour worker and assistant so low? Right here, average is an unfair way to describe this data. You would want to look at mean. If you did the mean on this, you would find out really quick that number is extremely large. And you would find that the comment that, you know, your average is this number would be a lie, because that's actually not true. I would use MAD as kind of a true-false thing, and it kind of judges when someone says average. It tells you how accurate that comment is. Catches somebody to lie. Thanks for watching my video. Have a good night.